Welcome to your May 2020 forecast. This is how I want to start. It is step by step, day by day, baby steps, each and every moment of the way. And if you listen to that, Edison said, I didn't fail 2,000 times in making the light bulb. I just learned 2,000 ways not to make a light bulb. Literally, this is the mantra. This is the energy. This is what you need to wake up telling yourself each and every day of May, because May is all about change. We're entering a 5-month in a 4-year, which means we are going to be changing our foundation, what we are building. And this is the big moment when we get that 180 kind of whiplash moment of this is where I thought I was going. And now this is what's in front of me. So May is a really big kind of stop, pause, take a deep breath, look at what you've got going, and then maybe burn everything down to the ground and start again. So you can see why it's so important to have a little bit of insider information for this May as you choose to move forward. So how I do these readings, let me just tap you in if this is new for you. We're always picking a path. We're going to pick the red path or the blue path. And what this does, intentionally allows you to review what energy, what consciousness level you had back in April. And it allows you to take a moment to self-reflect on who was I? What was I processing? What was I really connected to in April? Because everything you were processing April will now show up for you here in May. And so what we do is we get you really conscious on who you were, what experiences you were having, get you really grounded into that to start. And that's how you will pick your path, either the red path or the blue path. And then from there, once you select the path based off of the explanations of the consciousness level from each of those months previous in April, how you were experiencing it, then you'll be able to move forward, watch the full reading, the full assessment of what's going to be coming, what's aligning to the person who experienced the consciousness level of the red path in April, and what they can expect to experience come this change month of May. And trust me, you are going to want to know what is in store for you, because like Edison said, I did not fail 2,000 times. I just learned 2,000 ways not to make a dang light bulb. And I want you to maybe cut that in more than half. Let's try and cut that down to 1% of the learning curve during this month of May. So I know so many of you are creating, so many of you are cultivating new energies, so many of you are stepping into a massively new cycle. You can feel it. You know, if you haven't at this point, I think you're in a bit of self-denial here. You might be resisting the change, but our world is reflecting the intense amount of internal change we're all going through. So let's figure out exactly what's aligning to your energetic system so you can get really clear as you decide to consciously move forward into May, because now everything we do in May is going to align and set us up for June. And so this is how it works. What you are presently connected to, what you are presently processing, is going to anchor in this human timeline on this earth. We call it the earth grid. What you experience and process energetically here from the heart center, every present breath you take, every moment of this life that you are engaged day by day, that is what your heart anchors into the earth grid that's going to then manifest for you as you move forward. It's this earth timeline, this 3D timeline you're walking. So where are you and what are you coming from? So I have my energies laid out here, and if you don't know me, I personally read these energies from the 78 card chakra oracle deck. It's my deck. It reads absolutely everything the human energy field can be connected to in the multidimensional chakra system, the 3 planes of existence that we're all connected to, the physical, emotional, mental, which create our spiritual divine purpose, a funnel for that to manifest here on earth. And so there's 78 aspects that create a multitude of different experiences that you can have here in this moment in time. And so I have all those already laid out for the red and blue path over here. And so I'm going to be tracking out this way when I look to kind of retouch base on what's coming in for you. So take your first maybe conscious breath of the month, get really, really clear. And all we have to do is take an inhale and exhale. I always like to exhale with an open mouth. Sink the shoulders, relax the forehead, just let it all go. And then feel the heartbeat, and don't get started until you can actually feel your heartbeat while you're breathing. This is sinking everything into this moment in time. Again, that is the way we co-create here in this exact moment. And so take that breath, get the physical body aligned to everything you're connected to spiritually, as above, so below. And then we'll get started. So breathing in one more time. And exhaling it out, letting it all go. All right, so I just want to give a disclaimer, a warning here as I look at these paths. Sometimes the paths are so similar, sometimes the paths are exactly opposite of one another, making it really easy to know what you're going to choose. This month, the path, what I see happening this month is so many of you are going to, your mind is going to be on one path, but your heart is going to be in the other path. That is why it is so important to let go of the mind, let go of what you hoped you would have been coming from, what you hoped you would have been experiencing. I feel a lot of projection, a lot of people picking one path because it's what they would have hoped from themselves, but it wouldn't be honest and true to the actual experience you had last month. And so I really just want you to let go of any ego, and when I say ego, it just means any expectation or limitation that your human essence is putting on what your heart really needs to understand in this moment in time. And so it's the don't choose the one path because it's bright, shiny, and new. It's really get clear and feel and ask your heart, is the red path really for me, or is the blue path really for me? It's going to be one that you really have to sink down into your own essence, your own truth, and let the truth guide you this month, because I really feel probably a lot of you potentially picking the wrong path because your mind is picking it. So and if you do that halfway through the month, you're gonna be repeating patterns that aren't going to be healthy. And I trust me, it means you'll be living the Edison moment. You'll be experiencing 2,000 ways not to move forward in your life. So I don't want you to have that moment. I want the change to be like ripping off a Band-Aid this month. I want it to be a quick woo, that's the right path and that's the wrong path. Just rip it off and get me realigned to where I'm going. So here we go, as I've over-explained this. So I want to start, I keep wanting to start with this one path, but I don't know if I should. Okay, I'm going to just start there. So we're going to start with the red path. The red path, what you should be coming from, what you would have experienced in April is a massive coming together. This is the person that was manifesting a coming together. I'm going to give it to you on each and every level and layer of consciousness that this could have happened for you. In business world, if you were the person who had to set up all the Zoom meetings, or maybe didn't have to, maybe it wasn't a part of your job description, but you were the one who was like, we need to come together. We need to reconnect this community. We all need to get on the same page. And so you were the one setting up the Google Hangouts or the Zoom meetings or whatever, Facebook Live, whatever it might have been. This was maybe you. At the next level, friendships, if you were the one scheduling the game night, the virtual game night, the virtual drinking, I'm not sure, or the TikToks with the people dancing and whatever it was for friends, community to come back together, then this is your path. If you were the one, who had a message last month, who was desperate to share what you were thinking, what you were feeling, you got on Facebook, and maybe this is something you always do, but it was just a real deep need to get your community back together, get your community back online, and reconnect, reestablish, raise the vibration, right? This is all about unity consciousness. This is a really active consciousness level. That's why I don't want this to be the person who joined the Zoom. This was the person who had the ideas, who had the inspiration, who was really in that space of, oh my gosh, what do I do? And you just had to cultivate all of that energy to really create a coming together of like minds, or maybe not even like minds, but people who could share an experience together, process together, have voices heard. It was creating that new sense of normalcy, in creating a next level of foundational connection that a lot of us had lost coming from March. And so that's the April energy of the red path. This would be the person who really established and got on that kind of ground level floor of creating those networks that are now out there hanging out during the isolation phases. And so that, again, really active, very extremely active energy, and bringing people together who, and again, it doesn't have to be spiritually or for work or just for drinking and games. It's all of it. However you were bringing people together is how you were bringing people together. And so that's all about the red path. Now, the blue path consciousness level. So here we go. Okay, so tap into your heart, because I know so many of you out there who are on this path, who are not going to want to be on this path after I say what it is right now. And I really highly encourage you to listen with your heart right now. Don't reject this. I know you've done this work for so long. I know you've been in this energy for so long. I know I have told you about this for so long. This is the resistance of the emotional energy. So again, this is why I feel it going up from emotional body, the feeling body, the intense emotions that have been running through this entire world, from the highs of joy, ecstasy, love, to the lows of fear, depression, anxiety, all of the extremes of emotionality here. And the blue path is this month designed for the person in April who was questioning, who was resisting feeling that again, who was, again, confusion over their emotions and pushing the extremes of the emotional out of their field. That I'm not strong enough. I don't know why this is happening. I can't process this right now. It's way too much. It's the emotions coming in to be processed through you as this channel, as this vessel, and you having a resistance to the intensity of the emotions that are triggering you, that are trying to get your attention, that are trying to pull you into the extreme fears, that are trying to pull you from the extreme fears into the extreme happiness, elation, but then the next day going right back into the fear and the anxiety, and the jealousy and the revenge and the, all these crazy emotions. And so I really need you here, if you're even semi-contemplating this. The red path is, again, it's the shiny new toy on Christmas morning. The blue path is like, please not again. Don't make me hear this again. But we right now are identifying the consciousness level that you were processing in April, because depending on what you were processing in April will determine what you are walking into in May. And so in April, what happened. There's nothing you can do about it now. All we can do is get really grounded and open to what this energy is going to usher into our life, because of what we were experiencing and choosing, how we were choosing to experience life in April, and now what that's going to unfold for us here in this May, in this change month. And so, again, the energetic level here in the blue path is it's a lacking of emotion, which means it's a resistance in feeling the extremes. Again, and resisting doesn't mean you weren't feeling, because trust me, you were feeling, but resistance energy is the confusion. It's the I'm not strong enough to handle the depths and layers of these emotions. It's I'll feel this, but I don't want to feel that. It's the, only processing 10% when you're meant to process all 100% of everything. It's the elephant on your chest of last month, right? And so if there was any part of you last month that that felt, and then I always see it as like the feeling body is the emotional body, it's down here, and then when it's too much to feel, we get right up into the mental field, we rationalize, we compartmentalize, we tuck it into boxes and store it in closets. And so it's like, okay, there's the fear, this is why the fear is happening. As long as I understand it and I put it over here, I can protect myself from it. And so as soon as you get triggered by something, you wrap it up real tight and tuck it away in the attic or in the basement or whatever, and then when that I'm using the worst metaphors. I always do this. When that box started to creep back into your reality again, here comes the fear again, here comes the fear again, you just wrap it up even tighter and push it into the recessed corner, of your mental awareness. And it's because it was too much, too intense, way too many of these things coming in at once for really, for you to feel comfortable holding the intense intensity of it. And now that I'm saying this, I don't want to make it seem like if you did hold it, you would have been somebody, crying in a bathtub for all of last month. Personal experience, maybe not yours. But so I always give extremes to kind of paint the picture here, but it's the resistance of the motion that we're looking at. Again, I'm making it sound like every single minute of every single day, an emotion would fly at you, you deal with a little bit of it and then kind of sweep it away. And it didn't have to be that intense, but it could have been, each week something came up, and as it came up and it got you, you dealt with it enough to understand it mentally, and then, rationalized it, packed it away. And yet, how if you've restricted yourself from feeling the totality of that is that same emotion, the next week, 7 days later came back and it was like, oh God, here's that emotion again. And you got another little percentage of it and you packed it up real tight and pushed it away. And so that signals that there's a pattern, there's a block, there's a resistance to feeling and understanding the totality of what that emotion was coming in to teach you, right? There's a resistance in the feeling body. There's a resistance. I'm not strong enough. I don't understand enough. I don't know what this is meaning. This is making me feel too much. This is making me feel things I don't understand, and therefore I can't process. My mind doesn't understand it, and this is putting me into a place where I feel like I'm going to lose myself, and so, resisting it. And so that is, again, the energy of the blue path. So red path is coming in. Red path was really active energy. The person who was really active in organizing, getting people together, really the coming together energy, manifesting the coming together. Whether it happened or not, you were actively pursuing this, and whatever level it happened at. I'll say my sister did this in getting the family together with a online poker thing, right, where your faces show and whatnot. And so, it's this, you might not even realize you did it, but she was the one that sent out this link to the family to get on this poker site and start playing a visual poker game where we could just talk and chat. So she would be maybe on this path, unless she had more of the extremes of the blue path. So this is how you understand maybe where you were. Again, we're just trying to understand what consciousness level you were experiencing, what you were grounded into in April, so then we can read really clearly what your energetic field is going to be attracting to you here in this change month of May. So take a break. If you need to, review again, but hopefully at this point they're very different paths, and as long as your heart's choosing, you'll make the right choice and continue forward. So the next thing we're going to do is go into the full descriptions. Again, full disclaimer here, I always say don't pick both paths. Do not listen to the full reading of both paths, because you will intend your human to go through double the lessons, double the work. And that's not a healthy way to do this. You want to always do your work walking in this reality as in harmony and balance to what you're doing. And if you listen to both red and blue path in the beginning to make your decisions, you will actually be straddling two paths. It'll make your journey a little bit more confusing, and it's doable, but it's really taking on the work of 2 human lifetimes in 1 month, and you don't want to do that. So get heart connected, make a decisive decision now. Later on in the month, if you realize maybe that was the wrong decision, listen to the other path at that moment when it peaks up and reminds you that, hey, maybe we were supposed to be walking the other path, and then you can come back, listen, and at that point you'll be ready to start doing the work of that opposite path. So I'm going to continue on with the blue path first. So if you picked blue path, just continue watching. If you picked red path, I'll include the timestamp here. So look for that timestamp, that number, and you can fast forward to that part of the video. I'm also going to encourage you, after both of the blue path and then the red path videos are done being read, I'm going to put a third portion in on this video that explains a bit about what personally what's transpiring and how I want to work with people moving forward. So if you are already a gold member, a silver member, a basic level member of the Chakra Oracle, the Chakra membership, then please stay tuned and watch that very end, because there are going to be some helpful hips and tips there of how we can work on everything that's transitioning, because there are massive things transitioning, and you know, I'm being called to work with people in a much different way. And you know, in May that probably is going to change again, but at least right now, right here, I'm going to make a determination. I'm going to lay a step down for this foundation to start working in a new way. And so if that continues after May, great. If not, we'll dissolve it and start something new, which tends to be the energy of this 2020 year. Anyways, so I highly encourage both paths to go to the very end, the fourth portion of this video, and look and review that. Even if you're not a member, there are going to be lots of interesting things. Maybe we'll see what comes through that I want to discuss about what's kind of transitioning for all of us. So that'll be at the end of the video. So more so for blue path, because you're going to get this here, and there'll be a big portion of red path reading. So you'll have to skip to the very end. All right, so that is that. We're going to get right into blue path next. So you picked the blue path. Okay. I don't know why I have to sing that every time. Here we go. So blue path, jumping up. I'm jumping up and down. I have 2 levels of cards laid out here. So blue path, you came in with the resisting of feeling the totality of the emotions, the feeling states that you were being asked to feel last month. You felt a lot. I'm going to validate that. You felt a lot, but you, there were feelings, there were instances, there were things that were too much, or you were questioning if you were too much, if what you were exposing yourself to is too much. And so really this is where we're going to start and do kind of the deep dive work at now what you're going to be stepping into and walking into come this May, the change month. So May for you, the mastery of this month, and this is the beautiful potential that you have to step into this month per what you aligned yourself to during April, right? So in April, every choice you made got you more and more aligned to your path, the human path that you're walking. Again, our human path is a timeline. We call it, it has a starting point, and it's going to have an end point when you die, right? So our human bodies are walking a linear timeline. And so on that linear timeline, everything we do energetically, not only physically, emotionally, mentally, and then unity plane, divine plane, spiritual plane, all of these things that we have encoded within us, what we're feeling, what we're thinking, what we're connecting to through high self, and what our guides and our blueprints are saying we're supposed to be connecting to, all of these things funnel down, and boop, make one plot point on the calendar year, on this linear human timeline that we're all walking, right? And so everything you were doing last month was aligning specific energies to come into you here in this month. So in May, the big energy for you is all about patience. And so it's going to be very much so about so what's happening here is your energy, your willpower, everything inside of you, your gut instincts, everything that is that fire energy inside of you is just roaring. It's either come to life or it's been set on fire. And what's happening right now is there are relationships outside of you that are requiring an up-leveling. They're requiring a shift to get to where you are. So you have been full steam ahead. You have been ready for certain things to happen. You know, again, the emotional energy that brought you in here, I feel like probably a lot of that was not only with the connections, you know, a lot of the dense emotions that we end up feeling come from some of our closest connections. Again, we're in a time space where the collective energy is really strong. So depending on, you know, who you are, what kind of work you do, of course, healers, readers, seers, you know, intuitives, people who would consider themselves really emotional, they're picking up on a lot of the world-based energy. And so a lot of their triggers, a lot of their lessons, a lot of the things they've been processing has been from the bigger collective, the isolation, the fear of what's going on, you know, all of these things that are happening on such a big degree that it feels so out of your control. But a lot of, you know, exactly the opposite half of people are going to have been feeling this on a very personal level, where it's the family, it's the partner, the romantic partner in your life, even friendships, right, that are really changing drastically, maybe business partnerships, where a lot of this now in this month of May is going to be coming up, right? So maybe April was a lot of this like bigger processing, feeling really lost, confused because of the world energies, because of everything that was happening, everything that you were kind of forced into, and then you being so sensitive just felt it all and then resisted the feeling of it. Now what you're processing in May and what's going to start to happen for you, because and I don't want to say this in a negative way, but in April, because you resisted feeling the totality of everything you were being asked to process, again, being this really beautiful vessel to feel the intensity, right? Let's tell you, your divine gift here on this earth is to feel. And so, so in this, you know, in being such a open empath, to feel, to have compassion, to be able to really process things on a bigger scale, because this is a beautiful gift you have, but you resisted feeling the intensity that you could feel all these levels of emotion at, right? Which is divine saying, look at you, look how beautiful you are, look at the extremes you can go to and still know who you are, right? And so because there was a resistance of the tapping into that infinite potential of what you could feel into, to process in a bigger way, because there was resistance to that in April, now what's going to happen for you here in May is there's going to be a shift in the energy, and this is very specific to a partner. This is another person in your field, and this is the mastery. So I don't know if you've already recognized this or if this is something that's transpiring, but there's been disconnect. There has been a massive recognition of you being here and the other person being here. And we're not saying one person's better or another over the other person. It's just a very different place in life. And this will be very strongly connected to somebody you have a very deep connection to. It might be your partner in this life romantically. It might be a child. It might be a business partner. It might be, you know, a best friend. It's something, right? It's you and somebody else that are very connected, intertwined. It's the figure eight, the infinity sign of lifetimes and energy, right? Soul connection to somebody else. It's a soul level connection. Contracts, soul level contracts being made between you and this person. And the mastery here is recognizing that your energy has been the dominating, the pushing, again, it might even be the contemplative, it's the mental field, it's the rationalizing, it's the understanding, but your energy has been here with it. And what your mastery of this month to learn is that it requires patience. It requires a coming back into yourself. It requires a slowdown, a break, and integration to allow all things to come back into harmony and balance together. And so, how do I want to say that? I almost see like an electrical ball of energy, which was, again, this is your willpower, your energy. And because this ball of energy is so much, and again, it could be you know more, you've experienced more, you see the bigger picture, you get the bigger picture, you're like this, you're vibrating like this, and the other person, okay, you're up here vibrating so fast, the other person has not been able to get to that level yet, and yet you're seeing everything so clearly, and they're still down here not perceiving it. So this causes a lot of disconnect. This causes a lot of hurt between those two levels, because you're not seeing eye to eye. You're not on the same level. You haven't been on the same wavelength. And so this month is about you pulling back, okay? Because you've been the one that's been pushing. You've been the one that has the perspective. You have the answers. You know, and it's very here. It's, you know it all. You see it all. You understand it clearly. And it's taking this month for you to have patience, for you to pull back, for you to integrate, to settle. Again, because of the resistance of feeling last month, there's probably going to be a lot more feeling energy coming in for you. And what's going to happen is the more that you slow down, the more that you integrate, the more that you actually decompress. And I feel like it's the last month, with a lot of this isolation and world isolation and all these things that have been kind of on lockdown, has been the time to really go inside, to be in the dark night of the soul, to be in the change, to be in that shadow phase, to feel, to process, to just be in that darkness, to be in that unknown. And again, I think in that space, it was so intense for you that there were certain things you rejected. So here, this month again comes in, and it's saying, okay, if you're going to continue to, I see it as a mental energy, really try and understand, rationalize, but push through, and not let the integration happen, not take time, not slow down, not isolate, not be in this slower energy. If you don't do this, then I feel like you're going to stay at a disconnect, and the disconnect is going to be inevitable, where it's not going to ever be able to reconnect. And so you have to pull back. Your mastery this month is you have to pull back. And when you pull back from whoever this other person is, and what your expectations, what you've seen, what you've projected, what you've put out there, if you do not pull back, then I believe this relationship will not be able to see eye to eye again. And so for you, it's about patience. It's about honoring the space that somebody else needs to catch up to where you've been, right? And so that is, that's what you can come out of this with, is pulling your energy back from there so they can catch up to you, so that you can be in a harmony, connection, the simpatico, right? Like this level of unity with this person again. And it's going to take everything, it's going to take all of your energy to not jump in, to not start the conversation, to not push, right? And you need to just be here, to allow them to shift into what you've seen maybe all along, right? Okay, so the next thing we're going to go into is the new beginning. So your new beginning, which should be happening right around the first few weeks of the month. The new beginning is all about growth. And so this is going to be really beautiful, right? Heeding the warnings of slowing down, heeding the warnings of the integration that you're about to experience. This is all about then you cultivating a passion that then inspires your human. So it's really interesting because your mastery is pulling out all your expectations from the other person. It's about letting go of what you need from them. It's about detaching energetically from them, pulling out your cords, all your willpower, all of everything you've been pouring into them, right? All this energy you've been pouring into them. When you pull that out of them, this is actually the exact opposite energy in the multidimensional chakra system. They're both solar plexus and sacral chakra energy here, your mastery and your new beginning, but they're just mirror images of each other. And so basically what happens is when you slow down, when you pull that energy out of them, you get all that energy back. And that energy actually inspires and cultivates your purpose, your passion, but in a tangible way. And this is where the feeling comes back in. So what you were resisting in April, which was trying to crack you open, break you open with the intense amount of emotions that you were being asked to process, crying one day, laughing the next day, I'm gonna be hilarious, totally drunk the next day, totally like angry the next day, right? Just the total crazy of emotions that maybe April was trying to put you through. Then, you know, because there was a bit of resistance to that, here now, your emotional body, when you honor the mastery and pull yourself back and detach from the expectations and all this energy you're pouring into other people, when you focus all that energy on yourself, holy crap, you incite so much creative, passionate energy that inspires you, your timeline, back to this timeline, this linear timeline on Earth. You start to bring that energy that Divine was trying to pump you full of last month and start to create it there. What happens now is this comes in probably after the first few weeks of April, as you probably get tested by these relationships, get tested by the emotions, seeing if you're willing to feel, if you're willing to cry when you need to cry, if you're willing to laugh uncontrollably when you need to laugh, whatever. You know, when you kind of get put through those initiations, those tests within the first few weeks of the month, then the big shift, the big change, the new beginning happens. And for you, it's this, oh my gosh, this is me. It's like all that energy you were putting out here to everybody else flips right back. All those arrows come to you, and it actually starts to cultivate that really, and I always say it as like the orgasmic energy, just because it's sacral chakra that affects the human body, that it's not the passions of the mind, it's the passion that you can actually feel in the body, where it's like you're so excited to create, you're so excited to do, you have such a passion to go for it, for your human, and you start doing things that create potentials for you that unfold throughout this entire year. So now your potential duality, which tends to show up around the twos of the month, and I always do this wrong, but I'm going to do it right this time. So, you know, the new, what do I call it? I say the duality and the new beginning. Okay, so the new beginning, which shows up around the teens, right? The ones, typically it shows up somewhere around the teens or right before that, depending on, I'm sure, astrology and different things that I have no context for. So basically there's usually, I think, a new moon. Oh, I'm going to just research this. I always do it backwards. I'm not an astrology, a moon person. I should be. New moon, literally typing this into Google. May 2020. It said astrology. When is it? New moon, May 22nd. Okay, is that new moon Gemini? May 22nd. So here, I was going to do it wrong again. New moon is at the end of the month. So the full moon is at the beginning of the month. And so the full moon comes in around when you're having the new beginning, which is so cool, because usually what happens with a full moon is it's the time to face the darkness again. It's time to let go of something that's not serving. And that illusion, right? The darkness of the moon, the shadow, what we're confronting inside of ourselves as the shadow, comes up to kind of roar its head to see if we're going to get triggered again like you were last month, and see if you're going to go into an old pattern. Or if you kind of pass that test of the full moon, then you can step into your new beginning, which is all that energy pointing back towards you, to create in this linear timeline, right? Whatever it is that's now pointing at you and pointing directly into your sacral chakra, so for you to birth this, right? Literally, I feel like very intensely and very quickly, you could start manifesting what you need to right now. So for those of you who, again, because I don't do astrology, so maybe look, whoever does do astrology, look at the moon and the full moon and tell us what it's going to be about, because however it's affecting you, you know, that might bring more light to what kind of things are you're going to get tested with around this time. So the next thing we're going to go into is your potential duality. Again, the things that are transitioning towards the 20s of the month. And this is where the new moon comes in on the 22nd, which I love, a Master Builder Day. And so the new moon typically brings in these things that are infinite potential, right? The new moon is, what do you want? Make a wish, blow it out there, and that wish will be granted, right? That's kind of new moon energy. And so the really interesting thing is, the thing that can stop you here energetically because of what you've imprinted from last month is a distrust in your path. If you distrust in, again, I feel like you have had a calling, you have had intuition, instinct, whether this is on a personal relationship level, you just know something that you needed to be doing that you've denied yourself doing. Maybe it's a career level where you felt like the career has not been serving your highest, greatest good, but it's been a paycheck, but you've known it's been wrong. Or maybe you knew something was right, so right, but you've been fearful to go for it because of, you know, am I good enough? Am I strong enough? It could be a spiritual calling where you have known that this is a part of your path, your purpose for so long, but it just hasn't been there for you yet. Whatever it is, because of the path you've been walking, there is this part of you that has a tendency to distrust in what it knows to be truth. You have a truth. You have such strong feeling senses over something, and I need you to get clear, really clear. Here, my hands are over my heart, right? In like a freedom bird position here. There has been a heart message that you have heard, you have felt, you have lived, but it just has not, it's maybe not felt like the right time, it's not felt like the right person, it's not felt like, you know, whatever you've used to not listen to this heart calling, or to honor this, or to trust it completely, to 100% trust this, you have had a heart message for you and with you for a while now. This heart message is so strong, so loud, you know it. Right now, as I'm saying, you've had a heart message, something your heart has been telling you for a while that you've been too scared or ignoring, or, you know, not confident enough to pursue, whatever it is. This is the part of you that is your potential duality for this month. Again, this is the change month. This is the month where we go 180. What we thought we were doing, it completely flips, and it flips, and for some it could flip and be a pattern, or for some it could flip into that amazing next potential of the human linear timeline, right? And what you've been seeding. And again, the linear timeline for you, this heart message has been trying so hard to become a date on the calendar in your future that you will arrive onto, yet you, every time that heart message gets too loud, and almost so loud that it's going to be your next reality, there's something that you get fearful of and close off to it. And this is high self energy manifesting. Your heart message is literally your high self, which is the divine part of yourself that knows exactly why you were born here, why you are living here, and why you're trying to do what you're trying to do, and why you want the things you want. And it's like that high self message every time we get too close close. So there's something about us and something about our patterning, our belief system that doesn't allow it to come in, and we reject it. And so this is the big potential duality again coming up for you, probably right around that May 22nd, because the 22nd of May is going to be a Master Builder Day, where whatever you're doing is infinitely supported by all of these layers. I wonder what kind of sun alignments we have on that day, because it feels like you've got cheerleaders on every consciousness level, you know, not only your personal levels and what you're here to create, but also then high self level, your guides level, your angelic level, all the cosmic collectives you're connected to, all these levels. Oh my God, the time on the clock just hit 22:22. That was hilarious. So there are so many things that are just in perfect alignment for you, but you gotta trust. It's almost like the massive vulnerability moment that you're gonna have to show and have, that everything you felt, that heart message, that it's time to let that heart message free, to be 100% behind it no matter what it means. And it's gonna mean change. It's going to mean drastic change because of the year we're in, because of the month you're in, because of all the energy that's been leading up to this, because of the world collective energy. It's going to mean massive change, but you have to know that this is why you were here. And this is part of the experience level you wanted for yourself. So to trust that. Okay, so Blue Path, that is your monthly mastery, new beginning and duality. And so I highly encourage you to stay, or I'll put the time code here, the time stamp, go past the red path messaging and go to the end, the last part of the video. I don't even know what I'm going to say there yet, but I know there needs to be something said there. Oh, part of it is kind of a new way to work together, but also just why there's a new way to work together. So join me there if you wish, or you can close out and just do you for the rest of the month. Download the Chakra Deck app if you don't have it already. The Chakra Deck app has lots of great at your fingers things to do where you can see your daily guidance to help you stay really clear and centered in the energy that's happening to you each and every day. And so you can do the daily guidance. You can look for some courses and access to things in there as well that will help your energy in this multidimensional fabric really stay flowing constantly, because the one thing that'll stop us is when that energy is not flowing. And so it's a helpful tool to help you recognize just the beautiful perfection of the life that you're living. So when you have questions, it's a great place to go to for the answers. So that's the Chakra Deck app. And then I encourage you again to go to the end of the video and watch that fourth part. All right, with so much light and love, Blue Path, until next month. Okay, Red Path. I just read Blue Path and I am woo. Okay, so I gotta get into Red Path energy. So Red Path energy, you are needing energy because you've had so much expenditure of energy, but all done in a really loving, connected, unbelievable way. You probably had tons of energy coursing through you last month. That energy was with you so that you could create everything you needed to create, connect. You were basically, what do they say, moth to flame? You were the flame, you were the light last month that was attracting. You were constantly, oh my gosh, here comes my sister again. How hilarious. I've never ever talked about her on these videos. She also tried to start a book club with our family. I don't think that one was as successful as the little poker link. People don't want to do work right now. They just want to play. And so the poker link worked and the book club didn't. So she's been trying to cultivate this coming together. So this is the same energy that you selected. This is the same energy you've been embodying, and it's taken a lot of energy, but it's not energy that was not already inside of you. This is stuff that you had just extra amounts of energy, wanted to connect, wanted to play, wanted to engage with everybody around you, right? In a really healthy, connected, supportive way. Okay, so let's see what your month is going to bring in. I remember flipping these cards for Red Path and I was like, what? It was so amazing. I'm like so excited to tell you your path this month. Okay, so the monthly mastery. Now let me, I said this for Blue Path and it was really powerful inside of me. It felt really powerful. So let me say it for you too. So what we do, why we read the energy you're coming in at, the consciousness level, is because consciously you're operating, every human is operating not just in this physical 3D reality, which is your linear, I'm going to repeat this later, your linear timeline, right? You're born, me, 1983, and you'll die, me, 1986, I don't know, whatever. 19, whoops, nope, 2068, right? Born 1983, die 2068. And so birth to death cycle, that's a linear human timeline, right? We can't argue that. That's pretty much what all humans agree on. We're born at a certain date and time on our calendar, and we will die on a certain date and time on our calendar. And that creates this linear ruler of our life. And so, ooh, I'm hearing my cousin say, live the dash, right? So from this to this, you got to live the dash, the born and dead or whatever it is on the gravestone. You got to live that dash. So in that linear timeline, you're human, and that human walks, and every single day, on the calendar from when you're born to when you die, you walk and you step and you experience things each and every day in a very straight line, right? And so what happens though is you're not just one human walking each day moving forward. You're multidimensional. And what this means energetically is you're not just physical, but you're also emotional, you're also mental, and then you have all of the spiritual components that then integrate into that. And so how this affects you is every single time your human is walking a point on that calendar of life, the linear timeline, every time you take one step one day forward, you not only pull in this vertical line of the human you making a leap to this next moment in time, but that one human also has a multitude, a spider web of experiences that it's pulling in to manifest energetically to have you experience as your life in that day, in that experience of you and what you've attracted to you. And so how we see this energetically is that you have emotions, you have a mind, you have your unity plane, which is your high self-consciousness, which means everything you intended for your human self to experience here in this total timeline. You also have the spiritual plane, which is like all these guides and connections, energetic connections to you that support what you're doing. It's all the contracts, soul contracts you made before you came here as a soul to experience that, you help them, they help you, blah, blah, blah. It's just soul level contracts that can funnel in through this vessel of you being a human that moves, right? And so you have all these strings connected to you through all these levels that every time you move, all these strings, bloop, bring energy into that next point that you move into and wake up. Every day you wake up is a day you get to experience everything you've been connected to through all time, all space, the multidimensional fabric. And so what happens is, again, we're reading now the past. Everything you did in April was really aligning you energetically. You don't know why you did it. Maybe you do know why you did it, but there is so much more. This is a part of you were inspired to create a collective around you. You were inspired. You used a lot of your energy in April to connect people, to bring people together, to support people. And so thank you, number one, for that. It's so beautiful. It's so in alignment to collectively what, energetically we need. So now here, all of these things you were doing in April energetically as you moved along, I see it as one little tiny point on a ruler of your life, right? Birthday, death day. And so maybe you're here and this one tiny little point on the ruler has 1,000 strings connected to it. And so what you do every time you move is as you move, you pull those strings closer and closer to you. And those strings are like the strings energetically, their frequency of the universe that says, if I do this on this day, I want this to happen over here so I can experience even more of it. And so what you've been pulling in for yourself, and now here in May, this change month, because of what you did in April, you've now pulled this new reality even closer, even more tangible around you. That is your potential. It's the mastery that you have here this May. So your ultimate potential to step into this May is a massive transcending moment of the human experience. And I know these are using like a lot of big words to explain this. It is not transformation. This is transcending energy. This means wherever you've been, wherever you felt stuck, whatever in your life has been crap, has been slow, has been outdated, has felt, old, has felt like I just don't even want to do that anymore. I want more of this stuff because this excites me. This is the moment, your mastery, because of what you did in April. And of course, before that as well, you've been aligning to these little strings, pulling these little bags of goodies into you for a while now. But because of the energy of April and selecting all this, what you have the potential to step into is a transcending moment. This, to me, when I read people energetically, this is a level jump. We call this like an up leveling, which means that old stuff, the yucky stuff, the things that didn't fit, the things that maybe even a year ago you would have, it just doesn't feel right. It's not you. It's slow. It's dense. It doesn't feel good anymore. You get to let go of all that baggage. And this month, the month of May, change energy. Literally, the world outside of you recognizes that you've been having to deal with a lot of this crap for a long time. And the world says, we get you. We see you. We see the changes you've made. We see who you are, bright star amongst the humans. We are going to create a new reality for you to play in. Literally, it's like walking that timeline, at sea level for so long, and now you get to walk that timeline like at the top of the mountains, right? And so it's like you shifted, and divine is recognizing who you are. Divine recognizes all the energy you've put into it. Divine recognizes the BS that you don't want to play with anymore, and divine is now creating a moment for you where you get to transcend the yuck, the swamp, the nastiness, and you get to raise yourself. And so now let me tell you how this happens. What it means is wherever you were, and I don't know where you were consciously, but so collectively where humanity was consciously was in the physical plane. There were a lot of people who were higher planes, emotionally, mentally, unity plane. There's 7 cosmic planes, but 60% of our population resided before the pandemic in the physical plane, the physical world of experience, very material, very primal, very hive mentality, very, animalistic in nature, not a capacity to feel for other people, in true empathy and compassion, right? To only understand emotions on a very basic level and what they want to feel and what they don't want to feel, right? Very robotic. And so, most of our population has been here. And so what happens in a transcending moment, which is your mastery for this month, which happens in a transcending moment, is literally you shift to the next level. You're being gifted the next level of experience, which means you're no longer just the physical line that moves day to day. I have to do this. I clock in at 9. I clock out at 5. I do this. I slave. I'm a slave to all of it. I do what they tell me. I'm a robot, right? You no longer do that. Now you do that and you open to the next plane. And maybe you were already on this plane. Maybe you're just new into this plane, but a transcending moment means now you're not just the physical, now you're the physical and the emotional, which means you get to experience all of the sensitive feelings that the emotional plane has, that it offers, which is the high highs to the low lows. But it means that you get to experience it through the eyes of the people around you, meaning you get to see what love is when it's reflected back to you. It's not just this is my identity of love and this is how I love and blah, blah, blah. You get to have love as a experience in life, right? Boom. And it can hurt, but it also can be beautiful. You get to have fear as an experience in life, which fear as an experience in life can come in and make you make such a drastic shift and change so quickly in your life that one day you are here and the next day you are way over here, right? Like the emotional plane is the magic of being human. It transforms things. So maybe you were already there. Maybe you were already struggling with the emotional plane and understanding and trying to perceive why you felt so strongly this way and why you feel things this way. So maybe you were already there. Well, then you transcend to the mental plane, which means now you actually get the awareness of everything beyond just how am I feeling? How are people outside of me affecting me? What do they see about me? How does that make me feel? It's not this outside in. Now the mental plane lets you live inside out, which means it all starts here through your thoughts, through your dreams, through everything you think. Then you create a telepathic connection to your reality where then those things start showing up. Good or bad, they show up to reflect to you what you're internally going through. And so these are the transcending moments when we raise our level, our consciousness to the next plane of awareness. And so I would just tell you that, you don't need to know where you are, although I'm sure you're probably cluing into it right now as I talk. All you need to know is that things are changing, and May is a change month, and you have intended this for yourself. So don't go into it with fear. Go into it with complete open vulnerability. And because I see your new beginning, it's not going to be super scary. It's not like a dark night of the soul change where you're going to have to totally be vulnerable and knocked down and then rebirthed. This is a really cool, you're going to understand. I feel like you've been intending this change for yourself for a while, and you're going to start to see how it shifts in. So the new beginning for you is manifesting the awareness, the clairsentience, which is the clear-sightedness. This is the mind and connection to the intuition to create the greater perspective of your situation. So this is super amazing because it means that you've already intended this. You know it. And if you haven't, okay, so here's the two sides of this coin. If you know the transcending, right? The new beginning, the big change for you, you're changing your reality. You're going to be a different person at the end of this month. And it's not anything, that you haven't felt coming, but for you, the person on the red path, you have felt this shift coming. You have felt yourself changing vibrationally, what you want, what you like, what you are engaged with, what you don't like anymore, all that sludge, that nasty stuff. You are very clear that things are shifting for you. And so in this transcending moment, the new beginning, which happens, I always say around the teens, the teens, of course, it can be a little earlier than that, around the first of the month up until that time. But you will either have a very clear understanding of where you're headed right now, which is this greater perception of what you've been intending, what you've been dreaming, dream boarding, creating, branding yourself as. Or on the flip side of that coin, what will happen around the full moon that comes in at the beginning of the month. Full moon highlights illusion. Full moon highlights the density that you're sick of. So you'll be tested again by the full moon to rev up into your world. Look for the full moon and look how it affects you in your astrology. But when that full moon comes up, it should trigger the part of you that is sick and done with a certain aspect of your life. Wherever that's triggered, that is where you're moving. That's where you're shifting out of the density. And so what happens when that trigger happens, then you can then fully intend, yep, that is done. I no longer play those games, and I am now here, and this is what I attract. This is who I am. This is my life experience. And in that, you will then be in that next level and have clarity of what that next level is bringing to you. So this is, you don't have to be spiritual to to be on this path this month, but it is in essence the most spiritual path you could be walking right now. This is literally a change in consciousness, a shift in consciousness. So I just want to congratulate you for the work you've been doing, knowingly or unknowingly, or kicked in the butt with, right? Maybe it was done for you. Okay, so then the potential duality for you. So the potential duality comes in with your voice and your passion. So this comes in around the 20s of the month, and so here, because May is about massive change. It's a 180 in your life, right? Where you thought you were going is going to get totally flipped upside down, or you're going to be shown a new way to get there, right? A totally different way to get to that. Maybe the end goal doesn't have to change, but the path will change. And so here there's a big component of this that's with you that is about your voice, and your voice being comfortable speaking what you're passionate and what these things are that are coming into your field that are like really getting you excited right now. Again, you know, you're pulling in so much energy from April. And then in the beginning of the month, you know, you have this probably big test where illusion kind of comes back up, but you see that ugly monster rear its head so quick that you're like, kick it out the door, right? It's like, you know, you don't get to play in my world anymore. Whatever the density is, if it was a person, if it's a situation, if it's an emotion, if it's fear that always gets you, if it's, you know, other people's BS that always gets you, if it's the lies, if it's, you know, if it's your own internal self-judgments, if it's your own belief systems that I'm not worth this, I'm not good enough for this, right? And so right around the beginning of the month, that full moon is going to kick you in the butt and test you and say, you know, are you really ready to let that part of your old paradigm go? And you're going to be so clear because your mastery is transcendence for this month, and your new beginning is clairvoyance. So like, there's no way this thing can like, there's no way you can fail this test when it comes. And so what happens then towards the end of the month is, because you've so strongly aligned to your transcending moment, to the perspective, the greater perspective here, what happens for you is now you're asked to start to share that with the people outside of you. And I think this is a part of your path, your purpose, not your purpose, a part of your path that gets you stuck. Your voice, sharing this, maybe thinking you even have a message to share, or how do I communicate this new part of my life? I just stepped into this, or how do I, you know, it's a fear over speaking this truth. It's a fear maybe that the people around you, that now you've kind of changed a lot. Maybe the people around me aren't ready to hear how I've changed. Maybe they won't understand this. But what you're being asked to do is share this message, share what you're going through, so that you can inspire the people around you. It's not only going to inspire the people around you, but it's also going to inspire you. And so this passion that you're cultivating, when it comes through your voice, is such a powerful combination. Yet this is your duality. This is the potential duality. And now I even want to say, no, I don't want to say that. Do I want to say that? Let me see. So my head's shaking. Nope, you don't want to say that. Okay, it's not right. So the potential duality comes up for you if you're not willing to step into the role of the person who speaks passionately. We'll just say it that way, because it could be about a passion, or it could just be about what gets you so excited now that you're on and in this new phase. And you're seeing things in a different way, and you're experiencing things in a different way, and maybe everybody around you is stuck in the density and the negativity, and like you come into the room and it's like, ooh, how do I even get through to these people? Maybe they're all like conspiracy theory people and like super unwilling to hear a positive message, and you're just like, how do I be me here, you know? And so you hide and you don't speak your message, where divine is like, no, that's your duality. Stop. You are being brought to these people to at least give another point another point, another perspective. Like again, and you're coming into this month and you manifest this clairvoyance, this clarity in thought. and intuition to be able to see really clearly everything that's happening. And your mastery, again, your mastery is that you are shifting. And so when you shift, in essence, what happens is there are people around you that, you know, the first thing that happens when you shift consciously is you're going to be confronted by a lot of people who are living in the old paradigm of what you just came from. And so you're going to see very quickly those people who no longer align to what your new truth is. They come out first. And you're going to get, and this is the most beautiful thing because it's a validation of just how drastically you've changed. So be so thankful that those people, and they could be close family, it could be a partner, it could be a child, it could, you know, could be a best friend. And when you change so drastically and they don't, it becomes very evident very quickly that you're thinking very differently. And so what you're being asked to do in this moment towards the end of the month is to not play the games of their density, because this will be repeating an old pattern. This will mean you'll have more lessons to go through next month, and you don't want to do that. And so the more you can just, and if you have to do it through humor, right? Let's just go back to the example of conspiracy theory people who are saying that, you know, this virus is meant to kill off half our population because of overpopulation. I don't know what conspiracy theory people are saying, you know, and it's just like, what? That doesn't sound true to me. You know, if that's not your truth, then make a joke about it, you know, and try and get somebody to laugh, because laughter will break that density. But, you know, it's if it's not your truth, and it's not going to be your truth, you're going to be put in this situation towards the 20s, the later part of the month, the last week or two of the month, when you start to see the people around you that aren't thinking the same way you think. You don't need to shame them. It's nobody's right. Nobody's more right than the other person. It's just life experience that are getting you to see different ways and different perspectives. And so it's just nice to be able to not swallow your passion, your truth, and to just speak it however it feels authentic to speak it, so that that person can have a different experience in life. We're not trying to change their mind. We're not trying to convince them anything. We're just trying to open another pathway for them to explore. If it's a part of their path, they'll explore it. If not, they'll separate themselves from you, and the inspiration will have worked. And so this is the end of the red path, but I highly encourage you to stay because I'm going to go right into it here and just talk about a bit of the new energy, especially for my membership people. I highly suggest that you stay, because I want to introduce a new way to work together that you're already included in, and then just maybe why that's happening, why that's shifting. I don't know the words I'm going to say yet, so I'll pause and get right back into it. But also, if you don't already have the Chakra Deck app, I highly suggest that you download the Chakra Deck app. It's for free on Android and Apple stores, and it has lots of great tools for you to use daily to stay in the flow of your energy. Again, the human timeline is a linear timeline, and in that linear timeline, energetically, you're pulling in so many different things that it gets really confusing. Why today you're experiencing this, yet you've felt into all of this. And so that Chakra Deck app has a lot of ways to read your multidimensional chakra field, which is exactly kind of what we were talking about the ruler and you being a human that walks like this, yet you're pulling in all of this all the time. And so, you know, that makes it somewhat confusing when you're sensitive enough to feel into some of those different layers, you know, why certain things aren't happening in the timeline, or when you feel it so strongly. And so the Chakra Deck app, I think, has a lot of tools and resources to kind of play with, and whatever you need, just, you know, just look and dive and dig, and I'm sure whatever you find will give you at least some kind of context or answer for what you're going through. So there's a ton of content on there. So join me next, and we'll talk about the 2.0 version of what isolation has brought through for me to then kind of put out for you with light and love. So welcome to part 4. If you made it here, I put this at the very end because, number one, number one, I don't really know what I'm going to say. I'm just going to open my mouth and see what comes out. I can feel it. I don't know what it is cognitively yet, but there has been a really big shift, and there's been a lot of things recently that have gotten me to this place. I say this a lot now, but I have not chosen to speak a lot about what's happening because up until this point, I haven't known completely my part in it. You know, I, in complete honesty, have felt as lost as everybody else. Very, very lost with, you know, why I'm here, what my message is. I can feel very strongly all these things, but there's so many facets and layers to each and every one of us that in these times when we're really asked to refocus on just what is my purpose and what is my purpose today, sometimes it can be hard, and sometimes it can be very confusing, right? And so so many of these structures have been, excuse me, my eyes are closed because I have to right now. So many of these structures have been set up around us, and these structures are the things that are breaking down right now, and these structures are coming down really, really hard. And as these structures come down, there's this fear, there's this unknown, there's this new that we're kind of all stepping into. And so what I've known from 2020 energetically, every time I tap into 2020, is it's a day by day rebuild. Every structure, and I'm not just talking about, again, you know, not to use this word again, but the conspiracy theories out there, that's one level of this. You know, the hierarchies out there energetically, that's another level of this. There's our own personal imprints that we're all bringing in, our belief structures that are breaking down. I mean, this is hitting each and every one of us on such different levels and layers. And so this time has really been about going inward and focusing on, you know, what's my part in this, and what am I rebuilding? And again, it can be as simple as maybe you're supposed to be relocating right now. Maybe you're supposed to be moving closer back to family. You know, maybe you just need that community support again. Maybe it could be something really big, like you're supposed to be building the next piece of technology that's going to change the world, right? Who knows? Or the next infrastructure for schools and teachers. Who knows? Who knows what it is? Nobody can know right now. I'm telling you, nobody can know. All we can do right now is feel. That's all we're being asked to do, is really tap in and feel. Who have I been my entire life up into this point? And then how is that wanting to express through me? And again, all of 2020 is really about step by step, day by day. What are you feeling? What are you inspired to do? And then out of that, what can you build? You know, what can you step onto? What's going to have weight to support you? And every day we build something. More than half the time, at least in my reality, it's like, nope, that wasn't the right consistency. So, you know, get back to the concrete mixer and you know, add some more gravel or water or whatever it needs, because, you know, the formula wasn't quite right. And so this has been my reality, and I'm sure you're all experiencing it in your own ways. But so I'm playing, daily I'm crying, daily I'm feeling, daily I'm just a vessel to bring through whatever it is that needs to be brought through without any real expectation. So let me tell you what I've come to realize seriously only the past few weeks as I've been pushed. My guides show me that what's happened to me, and you know, I guess I hope I say this because it helps in some way if you're still listening. But my guides have shown me that I've been pushed down a hill. You know when little kids roll down the hill and they roll like the Jack and Jill go up the hill and then they roll down, you know. It's like that's what my guides show me has been happening. It's this unraveling of what I've accumulated over my human, over the human lifetime that I've lived, right? It's this unraveling, and to me it feels like I'm falling. It feels like I'm falling and there's no end. It just feels like I keep falling, and all they keep telling me is, but you're gonna fly, but you're gonna fly, but you're gonna fly, but you have to keep falling, you have to keep unraveling. And so in this, I have been surrendering each and every day, just surrendering more. Okay, what else needs to unravel? What else do I need to let go of? What else has to leave me? And so every day that this unraveling happens, I literally find myself in a more and new vulnerable position. And so, you know, it's come to a point now where I typically don't do work on myself. I don't channel for myself. I don't do any of this for myself just because my life seems to give me what I need when I'm present. It shows up for me exactly when I need it. But this has been so confusing that I started channeling for myself. And I'm like, okay, you got to come through and tell me WTF is happening so I can have some sort of comfort in the fact that I just keep falling, right? And so, and this is specific to me, but this is specific to me in what I want to do, not only for those members that are already members, but anybody who wants to continue to co-create with me. But you have to know who I am in order to want to create with me. So, there is an interesting paradigm that's happening where people are opening very quickly. People are opening to the higher levels, consciousness levels. So again, 60% of humanity was in the physical plane. We've got 25% of humanity in the emotional plane. We've got 14% of humanity in the mental plane. And then we go to the, you know, to the very rare percentages that go higher than that. Right past the mental plane is our soul level connection. This is where we connect to high self. What happens is we're born as humans, we're completely connected to our physical, emotional, and mental bodies, which means we have the ability to connect to the soul. And how this happens typically is through our dream space at night. This is when we realign, when our hara line that goes straight through us from, it's that always depicted as like a silver cord that a ghost has, right? But it's the energetic string that connects us to our soul, you could say, if you have to visualize it, and is constantly bringing us or helping us to realign to the life that we had intended for ourselves as we came here as humans. And so basically what happens is as we, what's happening right now in a really drastic way is that humans have always had this connection, but what we've done is we've patterned so much of our human existence into these different levels, the physical, emotional, and mental, that we're very blocked from our high self connection, which is our original blueprint, you could call it your purpose, why you incarnated here, why you're human, why you're here in this moment in time instead of, you know, in the 40s or, you know, in the 1800s or whatever. And so why are you here now, right? And that's what high self brings us. When we're open to that, we live in truth that every single day, everything is always perfectly aligned to our high self and why we chose to be here in this moment, in this time, at this location on the world, in this type of a body with these set of gifts and talents, right? And so we've come in with the perfection of everything we need. And so many times we, in our human range, block this. And that is the level of the physical, the level of the emotions, and the level of the mind, the belief systems. And so what's happened is humanity has blocked so many of these levels that they're now blocked from trusting that every single day and who they are and what they bring and what they want to experience and what their passion is exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And so they're blocking themselves from this. And so we have great dreams, whether you remember them or not, right? And that's when you're in full connection to that soul essence of you, everything you've intended yourself to be. Yet this in the human range has gotten so clouded, it's got so confusing, and we blocked so much of these different levels and layers of our experience here. And so what I have come to teach, and my perfection in this lifetime, was made for this moment in time. Well, it took me, 37 or however old I am years to get to this. And so I'm just here at the right time, I guess. But as we all are. But my place in this is, and has always been, to help people understand the perfection of who they are, in every single moment that they're breathing, living here as human, and to reconnect them to that high self that can, because I can tell you this, but it's one thing for somebody to tell you your life is perfect. It's another thing to open that channel within you to know that your life and who you are and what you're doing is exactly perfect for everything you need to be experiencing to get you to tomorrow, to get you to experience tomorrow, and then to get you to the next day, and then to experience what's in that pocket of reality, and then get you to the next day. And so, so oftentimes we block and we choose not to feel the emotions that are meant to get us to the next day and the next perfection moment. And then we choose to have limiting beliefs and limit our own power and our own dream essence and those things that we can daydream and connect to in our mind. And we think they're just things that we're creating, yet these are visions and these are parts of your high self communicating with you. So there's so many levels and layers that you're blocking the truth of your essence. And this is what I've come, this is part of why I'm here. I teach this. I teach people how to accept the perfection of every moment, right? And so that's all I do when I do these readings, is tap you into the physical, emotional, and mental parts of this fabric of your reality, and help you see where you're possibly out of balance to all those things that you're connecting to, and where you're really living your truth of what you're connecting to. I'm taking way too long to say this, I know. So what I have been guided to do, and again, this is probably going to break down in a few weeks because everything is right now, but I'm just going to do it because it's what I'm being shown to do right now, is to help people. Because what's happened with the pandemic is we have shifted the 60% that were in the physical plane, and they're getting their asses kicked and pushed into the emotional plane. And so we no longer have this ability to stay trapped in that hive mentality. People are feeling too much. People are being forced into the emotional plane. If they're not ready, they're leaving this earth. And so in this, what's happening is people are becoming really sensitive. The emotional plane is where you start to open up the sensitivity levels to everything. And so heightened emotions, but also understanding then the projection of emotions that you're feeling from everybody else. And in this is where you start to see the emotional plane is where all the power dynamics are. It's where all the manipulation between human beings are. It's where the hierarchies and all the structures are, where people try and take your power. Energetically, constantly people are trying to take your power, trying to get you to feel a certain way, to in essence stimulate an emotion that then triggers you and makes you release your power. And the one thing I'm here to do is teach people that they are in essence the totality of the infinite potential of power that they could ever tap into. And the one thing I teach people is how to claim your power. And it's easy. It's just by living your truth, but that's very hard for people because, again, they've closed off on all these levels and layers of their multidimensional system, and they've given so much of their power to outside sources, to the news, to people they feel they've put on pedestals, mentors, or people who they think are smarter than them, to politicians, to media people, to influencers. Nobody knows. Even the most amazing psychics have differences of opinions in these ranges. The only person who knows anything is you, right? And for your path, what you're creating, everything creates through your heart center and then creates your next moment in this reality. And so, when you give your power outside of you, whether it's to, an angelic being, whether it's to a parent, whether it's to a society created system, right? Money is the biggest one out there that people use to manipulate and create power structures. Whatever you've given your power to, at this point is starting to be given. People are stepping into this range of hierarchy and energetic power manipulation. The emotional plane is all about where you learn, where you've been manipulating people for their energy and where people have been manipulating you for your energy, and all these cords you're running between all these power dynamics. And this is the level where we burn all that down. In my world, we call this cord cutting. This is in cord cutting, you start to dissolve all these power, these things that are trying to take your power, or where you're trying to take other people's power. You dissolve all of it, and you have to come back into self. When you dissolve all of it, that's when then you ascend up into the next level of the mental plane, and you start to clear that. But as we all get triggered into this emotional plane, all of the power dynamics are coming full into our reality. Whether you know it or not, you're starting to see and feel things in ways you've never seen or felt things before. And a lot of people I work with, have been doing this for a very long time. But this, now that it's a collective imprint, and this is collectively what the 60% are being forced to do, we're all feeling it a lot more intensely. And when you did this maybe 10 years ago, now everybody's doing it. And so what that means is when you did it 10 years ago, you did it at the level they're doing it now. But now you're doing it at a much higher perceptive level. So maybe you're doing it and realizing that you've put power into mentors here on earth, that you've given higher status, you've given your authenticity away to, your discernment. Maybe you're doing it at a level where you're giving it to angelic beings. You're giving your power away and 100% trusting everything that comes through because you connect and no. Like they have, everything's got an agenda, and it's a beautiful agenda. And that's something I'm here to teach, is when you're created from source, there's nothing that's wrong. Everything's perfect and everybody's opinion matters, but it still has to funnel through your heart and through your vessel to create here on earth. And if we give any of our discernment outside of us, it's going to constantly crash down because it's not of us and it's not of the highest capacity that we have to create in this moment in time. And so, whether you entered this emotional plane again 10, 20 years ago, it doesn't matter. We're all getting triggered with this emotional plane as a collective humanity consciousness now. And you could be dealing with it in the hierarchies of cosmic beings and this type of stuff. And so if you are in separation, if you are seeing any power struggles anywhere in your reality, whether it's through politics, whether it's through employees and government things with money, whether it's through family dynamics, I don't care if it's church and state, if it's, God, I don't even know, if we go higher and higher and higher, if it's, you and a mentor who sometimes they feel right, but sometimes they don't feel right. And are you putting all your power into them because they've created a status? If it's an influencer, if it's a whatever, nobody can do it like you can do it. And we have to now clear ourselves through these levels yet again, because now the collective is here doing it. And because what we're doing is, as a humanity, as a collective conscious here, we're opening to high self and we're integrating high self into our human body. And what that means when we integrate high self into human body, what that means is that any human, how do I want to say that? Any of these blocks that we're experiencing here that we have yet to shift out of because we're not connected completely to the source of everything, which the source of everything says everything's always perfect and everything's always in alignment. So if you're seeing duality anywhere, and especially anywhere in these emotional power struggles, hierarchies, if you're seeing any of this anywhere, it's because you still have areas where you're in duality. You're not 100% connected to source. You do not 100% trust that everything you are doing right now in this moment in time is absolutely perfect because you're perfect. Right? If you're seeing any of this, any duality anywhere, it's because you are living in a power struggle somewhere, and you could be living it in the highest levels of consciousness, or you could be living it in the lowest level of the emotional field. Wherever it's happening, if you're in duality, you are opening this now as a potential that our high self collective could step onto, and that's not allowed. It's not allowed. We're not allowed to project our human duality into the high self arena, and that's why we're all being asked right now to purify and clear these levels yet again at this more even basic resonance. And so, that's what I got this morning. It's just a fraction of whatever. I don't even know where I'm going anymore. I don't even want to say. So I have these levels of membership. Right? Go right into a sales thing here. So I offer levels of membership where I read people. And there's limited numbers because I spend a ton of energy and time helping cultivate people. But I've changed the lower levels so that each month, I have free levels. So please know that, number one, it's not all sales here, but I have free levels that you can participate and get what you need and explore. And there's so much free content. Please just play and explore and whatever you need. And that's all on the chakra membership site, which is within the Chakra Deck app, or on my website, jenessee.com. But what I'm changing about the membership levels, because of what's being brought in right now, is there needs to be a collective answering. I was here to help people see that they're perfect. And again, if you can't see that your life is perfect right now, then you are in duality. You are not connected fully to the high self energy that is the as above, so below, the divine essence of what you're here for. If you can't see the perfection of this moment in every moment, and let me just back up a minute, because trust me, my human sees things one way. My human is like in revenge mode half the time right now. For those of you who know me. And that's okay, but I also see the imprint of how perfect my life is right now. When I go into high self and when I go into divine self, I know how perfect my path is. I know the perfection of exactly why I'm going through what I'm going through in my human ranges. And so the human me gets to be crazy at times, and I let that happen because I'm human and that's a part of it. But I also trust completely the higher potentials of everything that's going on, and I can see so perfectly how everything for me right now is aligning in a very specific way. Although the human hates it, I can see the perfection of it. And so, I think a lot of us can do that, but I think there's a lot of us that are so confused and so disoriented and so in duality and so in confusion and so in the, again, if it's anything, war energy, fight energy, good versus evil energy, positive or negative energy. These things are duality. If you're in this duality, that means there's something that's not integrating. Okay, I've repeated myself again. So I do also have other levels, and I've changed these. So members, gold members specifically, I need you to know that I'm going to be opening up live calls with you because I know I do readings for you each and every month. And we need to be able to process this in a different way. If you're not a gold member, if you're a silver member, this is typically you get an oracle deck and a workbook, and you get access to learn how to start to read, and then I'll work with you in that way. But we're also opening up these calls, so really the calls are for the silver members to ask questions in a group way, and then gold members, you can come in and add to that and participate because you're getting private readings, so you might have very personal questions. And then the basic membership has levels where I take the red and the blue path, and each week I'm going to give red path and blue path very specific meditations, tools, and practices to make sure that your vibration is staying in flow instead of getting into the I see it as blocking your multidimensional possibility. Again, my goal is to get you each and every day you walk this linear human timeline, birth to death, right? Each and every day, that every day you step and wake up, that you're 100% open to the experience that awaits you that day. And so my goal is to get you to be completely open every single day to whatever experience shows up. And so, I'll do that in the basic membership through giving more practices, tools, and things to keep your energy in alignment to what you have chosen to walk as your path this month. And so that you can stay this open, energetic vessel that is not in resistance to what you're accessing now, because every human is accessing so much more of their potential right now, and it's getting really freaking confusing when you start tapping into these different levels and layers in more sensitive ways. People get so confused because they feel certain things, and then those things don't happen how they felt them. They happen in different ways, and that can be one of the most confusing things for a sensitive person. When you feel it one way and it happens a different way in life, and then it creates resistance to then experiencing or playing with or exposing yourself to those levels again, or trusting. Trust is the biggest thing I teach. So I just want everybody to trust where they are, trust that everything's perfect, and if it's not, let's talk about it and see how we can get you to see it as perfection. And so that's, I guess, at least today why I'm here. Like I said, it's probably going to break down by June, but at least this is what it is for May. So with so much light love, if you listen to the rambling channel there, I thank you, and can't wait to work with you in whatever capacity. Again, join for free. I will update and upload so much information there each and every month as well. Play with all the tools. Really helps to keep you energetically aligned and give you the answers you need. Everything's vibrational in my world. So everything I've written down, spoken, whatever, it's all vibrational. And so just by going into it, you're gonna get that kind of realignment shot that you need to get kind of back into the trust flow. With light and love.
The Chakras Root to Crown Oracle deck is a tool designed to help people connect to their soul destiny. As humans, we live a birth-to-death cycle, yet as a soul, our existence is infinite. In each human life, our goal is to learn and connect to our authentic self. We seek guidance when we are repeating patterns and feel blocked from our purpose. This oracle deck breaks down a human's chakra system and uses that information as a roadmap. Each chakra contains physical, emotional, and spiritual information to navigate a clear path towards authenticity and awakening. By gathering perspective with a reading, you will gain soul-level wisdom. These insights bring depth to your spiritual journey and dissolve the blocks, unveiling your highest potential. Take the next step by selecting your layout and explore a reading today.